Hi, welcome to Coffee at the Crossroads. I'm Bill, and today I've got a special episode. I've considered calling this one when Life Gives You Lemons, Make Lemonade. I am, as you can see by this background here, this doesn't look like England, does it? Well, that's because it's not. I'm back in Canada. My family, my daughter had some visa issues and she had to leave the UK very, very quickly. So it was a bit of a shock for us. She had some delays with her student visa. And so we've had to get her out of the country and kind of reapply for a student visa and all that stuff. So it's been some trying times for me and my family. But, again, when life gives you lemons, then you've got to make lemonade. And so this fantastic scenery behind me is where I grew up. So I'm going to take you on a little tour of where I grew up outside of a town called Nakusp, British Columbia, in the western part of Canada, is where I grew up. And it's very rural, as you can see, but it's some of the most beautiful parts of the world. It is really, really fantastic. Mountains and valleys and trees and unspoiled nature. It's fantastic. I like to say it's a great place to be from. It's quiet and peaceful and bucolic. There's not a lot of opportunity for young people, and so many of the young people move away. But it's a fantastic place to come back and visit, and that's the silver lining to our ordeal. My daughter and I had to get on a plane on Sunday and get out of the UK. She had to, rather, and I came with her for some support. And and so this is the silver lining. We get to come back to BC. We get to spend some time with my family and with my wife's family. My daughter gets to see her two grandmas who are still with us. My mom is 91, and so she's going to make a little appearance in this video if I can convince her to do that. We'll see. But yeah, obviously we try to take every opportunity we can to come back and to see my mom and to see my mother-in-law, to see my children's grandmas on both sides. And and so that's the lemonade part, right? We get to, even though it was a little hectic us getting here, we've really now got an opportunity to see this beautiful part of the world. So I'm going to take you around. We'll see how this video goes. And then I'm going to shoot a little bit of the countryside and this and that, and we'll hopefully get my mom on camera. And then I'll show you a little bit of the town where I grew up. And then I'll wrap it up. So this is a little bit different. This isn't a Canadian in the UK. This is a Canadian leaving the UK and coming back to Canada for a while. And then hopefully by next week we'll be back in the UK, but we'll see how the UK government and the UK visa process works. We might have an update on that as well. But welcome. Let's go do some fun stuff. All right, hi again. So I'm up out of the chair and I'm gonna wander around the little acreage where I grew up. This is actually my grandparents' property. Little history, my great-grandparents came from the UK in around 1896. And Canada had a homesteading program where I believe it was 25 Canadian dollars. You could get 160 acres of this prime real estate. And so my great grandfather did that. He worked for the railroad. And so he had 160 acres of this beautiful valley. And now there's a little chunk of it that's still left in my family. My grandparents, I grew up across the way over there. You can't see it, but this is my grandparents' property. And and I'm gonna take you around, and we're gonna kind of wander around the property a little bit. You're about to see that chair that I was just sitting in. I know that, as I always say, you don't want to look at my face. You want to look at what I'm seeing. And so I'm going to flip you around here. Bear with me. Hang on. Okay. So this is This is a little section. It's kind of the lower section of the property. That was the backdrop we were just shooting. And this is the field. This field is typically in hay, but it's September and the hay has been cut and hauled away. So my sister owns this property now. My mom still lives here. As I've said, my mom is 91 and she still lives. This is the piece of land that she grew up on. And so it's sort of a wonderful part of my family's history. My grandparents lived here. They passed away a few years ago. My grandma lived to be 99, basically spent her entire life on this piece of land. And my mom's here now. My mom's 91, is in great shape, still lives here alone, still brings in her own firewood and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, she's a pretty amazing person. We're going to get her on camera, whether I have to wrestle her to do that, or whatever. So yeah, so this is down, part of the wonderful part of this property is this fantastic little creek, this amazing little creek that runs through. So I've got that. This is where every kid in my family, my older siblings, my younger cousins, my nieces and nephews, my own children, all learned to swim in this creek. And so there's this little bridge across. And yeah, it is just an unspoiled part of the world, and a wonderful place to come and visit. So now we're up top of the sort of the valley part, the upper part of the property. It's not really the elevation isn't that different, but this is what was my grandparents' farm. They had strawberries, potatoes, hay. When I was a kid, grew up, bringing in the hay, all of that stuff. Never drove the tractor. I was too little. But yeah, my granddad farmed this land. They were married in 1930, and I'm going to show you the house. But this is the valley bottom. And so this is that beautiful British Columbia, as they call it. And it's a little hazy, you can see, because there's a lot of forest fires in British Columbia now. And so even though there's nothing really close here, there's still a lot of haze in the air. But yeah, it's, and so that's looking sort of, I guess, up the valley, down the valley. That's towards Nakusp. All right, welcome back. So you got me again. Behind me, this humble little house is the house that my granddad built in 1930. It's a little 2-bedroom rancher. It is a very, very humble little place, but it is a place of many wonderful memories for me. Yeah, this is where my grandparents lived. I spent a lot of time here. I lived just 2-minute walk down the road. My parents had a little 2-acre piece of property just across the creek that you just saw. And so I spent, I was a kid and I had my grandma right next door. And so I came over here and spent as much time as I could. Okay, we're going to do that again, and I'm going to try to not get so emotional. Sorry, didn't expect that to happen. Anyway, yeah, so that's my grandparents' house, and now it's where my mom lives. It is, as I said, it's a house that holds so many memories for me. And yeah, I mean, now it's 2025, and it was built in 1930. My grandparents were married in 1930, and this whole valley was all trees. And my grandma and granddad cleared the trees. They were given, I believe it was 80 acres, and they cleared the trees, and they built that house. My granddad built that house in 1930, and then they raised their family there. And my mom was born here. My mom and her 2 or 3 brothers were born here. She's the only one left of them. The 3 brothers have all passed away now, my uncles. But as I say, this is a place of many memories. I'm going to spin around so you can get to see a little bit more of the valley and all that stuff. I mean, this is all stuff we've already shot, but it's just a truly outstanding, just an amazing place. It's just, you know, it's funny because I guess maybe some people might go, nah, I don't care. It means so much to me. Obviously, it means so much to me. Growing up here and the memories as a kid, the memories of my own kids, like bringing our kids here and them spending, summer holidays with cousins and learning to swim and spending time playing in the creek and all that stuff and running around the fields, and we would play baseball out in the fields, and we'd run around and drive quads and snowmobiles and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it just holds so many memories. So so this is a place called Browse Loop. If you look on a map, you're going to be hard pressed to find Nakusp, because Nakusp is a town of about 1,500 people. But it's beautiful. It's on the Arrow Lake. And the Upper Arrow Lake, I believe it's called. And so it's a beautiful part of the world. Hi again. Here I am in the little town of Nakusp. I'm at one of what has become an institution here in Nakusp. I've been around since the 60s. Is a little place called The Hut, place where you can get old-fashioned milkshakes and burgers and chicken strips and fries and all that kind of stuff. I love this the old sign over my shoulder here. It's the old school, going back to when I was a kid. This is somewhere we would go. It was always a treat to come to the Hut when I was a youngster. And so I want to share this part of this kind of, it's an institution here in Nakusp, is the Hut. I'm going to flip the camera around, and you're going to get to see it. All right, so that's the Hut. It smells. I wish there was some kind of smell-o-vision or something, because it's got that wonderful deep fried French fry smell, and they do a really great chicken sandwich, and they do a really great fish sandwich, and it's awesome. I'm not getting any food today, maybe tomorrow. But from the Hut, we're walking down towards the town of Nakusp as I mentioned, is on the Arrow Lakes and Upper Arrow. And so that's where I'm headed now. So there's the marina. You can see it's really hazy. This is, as I say, it's fire season here in British Columbia. And so those forest fires are burning. That amazing mountain up there is called Saddleback, I think, for obvious reasons. I'm going to try to zoom in. That's Saddleback, and that is the iconic mountain peak here in the Selkirk mountain range, and kind of become to be a bit of a symbol of Nakusp. And so I'm going to zoom back out, and we're going to see the waterfront. And I'm going to walk along the little park here, and you're going to see Nakusp. Hiya. So it's interesting. I spent some time in Annecy in France, and Annecy, for anybody who's been there, is this absolutely charming, almost a medieval town in France. And it's at the end of a lake, and everyone talks about how the amazing natural beauty of Annecy. And it's, I got there and I walked down to the waterfront and I looked down the lake, and it looks very much like this. I was like, oh my goodness, this looks like if we took a medieval French town and moved it to British Columbia, we'd call it Nakusp. So it's kind of funny. Not that I wasn't impressed by Annecy, because it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful town, and placed in this amazing natural setting. And there's like an old castle on the lake shore. So it's certainly got plenty of things that Nakusp doesn't have, but just in terms of the natural surroundings, it was it was strikingly similar. And so I don't know if any of you have been to Annecy. I'd love to hear your thoughts because it certainly reminded me of Nakusp. So yeah, this is me walking along this sort of waterfront park here in Nakusp. And yeah, it's funny because this was not here when I was a kid. Obviously the lake was here, all of this stuff was here, but this kind of park, this kind of green space area has been created much more recently, I believe. I don't know when this was done, but it was in the 90s or something. And so I had long since moved away from Nakusp. And so this isn't something that I'm familiar with, but certainly the lakefront and the views up the lake and Saddleback Mountain and all of that stuff they're just, it's hard to explain. They're almost like, they're like a part of my being, you just, when you're I think people who are from a small town, it just becomes so deeply ingrained in sort of who you are. And I've lived all over this country, and I lived in Japan, and I've obviously now my family and we live in England, but this part of the world will always be part of my being, I guess. I come back here and I feel a certain peace, and so it's part of who I am, I think, and we all, it's interesting how where we grow up and our surroundings and the natural environment that we grow up in, it does kind of, how do you put it? It can kind of become part of your DNA, I guess. And so Nakusp is that for me. Hi again. As promised, I said I was going to get my mom in here. And so she's reluctantly agreed to join. My mom still lives on this beautiful piece of property. And here she is. Hi, Mom.
Hi.
Mom is 91 and lives here alone because she's awesome. And she's kind of short though. I have to kind of scout.
Yeah,
down.
this is as tall as I
This
get
is as tall as
my
she
stilettos.
gets. But yeah, so yeah, she doesn't. She said, yeah, she was going to put on stilettos, but we advised against that. I'm a little shaky here because I have to scooch down. But what if I do this? There. So now we can see us. So this is my mom, and as I said, this is an opportunity for us to get back and see her, and we don't always do that. And so, even though this was a bit of a harrowing experience for my daughter and myself, at least we got to come and see my mom.
Yes, thank you. And I'm so glad you did.
Hi again. So here I am. I'm just going to wrap up. We're leaving Nakusp today. We're leaving this beautiful part of the world. Just a very short visit to see my mom, see my sister, and yeah, get my Vivian to see her grandma. And so we've had a wonderful little visit here, and I hope you enjoyed this video of Nakusp and this part of the world. As I said, this was a chance for us to make lemonade out of some lemons. We've had a bit of a tough stretch here with the family visa situation, but you know what? There's always a silver lining, and this has been it. So really happy we could stop and see family, of course. Yeah, and so I hope you like this video. I know it's a bit of a departure from what I usually do, but yeah, I'm not a Canadian in the UK. I'm a Canadian back in Canada. So, but hopefully heading back to the UK soon. I'll be able to update that in the days that come. Yeah, so it's, yeah, if you like this video, as always, give me the little thumbs up and tell your friends and watch more videos and subscribe and all that stuff. If you want to see more of this kind of content, please give me a like, and yeah, and I look forward to seeing you again. And in the meantime, this is Bill at Coffee at the Crossroads. Cheers.